Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 19th episode of Limerick Junior Soccer Focus with myself, Adrian, Finnin, and joined once again by Aidan Ryan. Another packed show tonight as we look back on the FAI Junior Cup games involving both Fairview and Ballynanty last weekend. Obviously, we also have 5 Limerick District League sides involved in Munster Junior action this week, as well as 3 fixtures in the Premier Division. And an FAI Cup draw, which takes place tomorrow as well, to discuss. So plenty for us to get our teeth into, Aidan. Obviously, we'll start probably with the good news story of the weekend, which was Ballynanty Rovers getting through to the last 8 of the FAI Junior Cup with a hard-fought 1-0 victory against All County FC in Dublin. The scorer of the winning goal was Aidan Hurley, a man we had on the show 3 weeks ago and said he was desperate to win an FAI Junior Cup before he bows out from his playing career. So no better way to do it than scoring a winner to get your side into the last 8 and still have a chance anyway. And I suppose looking at it, Aidan, a tough place to go in Drimna for Ballynanty Rovers. Defensive solidity, by the sounds of it, came to the fore again as well.
Yeah, listen, a magnificent victory up there, Adrian. And we've been saying it all along for the last few weeks. Balla have been keeping clean sheets. And it's a huge thing. We mentioned that back four. We mentioned the two that might be sitting in front. As it turned out, Thomas Burns and Aidan Hurley played in front of the back four. And once you have that stability at the back, it allows the players in front of you to express themselves a bit. Obviously, the reports we were hearing, very, very tight game. The opposition obviously losing a little bit of discipline with a player sent off. Balla taking advantage of that. Aidan Hurley scoring at the back post off a corner kick by all accounts. And then seeing out the game, albeit having a little bit of luck with a disallowed goal for All County 3 minutes into injury time.
Hearts must have been in them out there, Aidan.
And having viewed the goal, I think Balla got lucky with it. But you need a bit of luck in cup games, no doubt about it. And sometimes you deserve your luck and you make your luck. And these boys have been going well in the FAI, have been performing well, have been getting through the matches, have been managing the games very well, Adrian. And listen, there are flag bearers now in the last 8 of the FAI, and the whole city and the county have got to get behind them. Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we talked about last week discipline in being vital, and we spoke that we might have been worried that it might be Ballynanty, especially up in Dublin, that had a player maybe sent off, which could cost them. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. It was a big turning point, I suppose, with All County being reduced to 10 men as well. I know their goalkeeper was sent off late in the game as well, but that was very late in injury time, I believe. But, it just shows you how important it was. I know it probably wasn't the winning or the losing of the game, but it was a big boost for Ballynanty in an away fixture for the home side to be reduced to 10 men.
Yeah, well, in a big tight game like that, it's massive. And there's small percentages all the time, Adrian. And you take every advantage you can get. And obviously the game being as tight as it was, to get that advantage and have 11v10 and then have the pitch open up a little bit even in some respects for the likes of James Fitzgerald and Adrian Power and Happy Dean. We've spoken about their talent. So obviously they put the pressure on, force the corner that won the game, and well done to Aidan Hurley coming up trumps with a vital goal for the team.
Yeah, absolutely, and his experience could be valuable coming into the last 8 of the competition as well. Obviously, you've mentioned the fact that we have discussed the talents of the players going forward, and we have discussed Balla in detail throughout the year, Aidan. But obviously, at the back, you had 2 men who've come in from the county this year. One that's known quite well to all of us in Tomás O'Connor, who'll be the brother of Paddy O'Connor, who's currently with Lincoln City in England. And then you have Josh Adams, who also came in from the county as well. They've been getting a lot of plaudits from people when I've been speaking to them at games. Some people have even been likening Josh Adams to Colm Enright in recent weeks. I know it's very early days for that, considering the longevity of Colm Enright, Aidan, but those 2 lads really have made a difference, it appears, to that Balla side.
Yeah, well, I've been eulogising myself about Josh Adams. I feel he's the find of the season. Certainly the signing of the season for me is all the attributes that you want in a centre half. Adrian, a little bit agricultural at times, can still play football, but when he needs to clear the ball, he clears the ball. He wins his tackles and his headers. And he's dangerous in both boxes, Adrian. Dangerous against the opposition in terms of the clearances he can make, but very dangerous in the opposition box. He's very, very good timing. And a real leader on the pitch, and I like the look of him. I haven't seen Thomas O'Connor, Adrian, play. Obviously, the games I've seen Ballin, he hasn't played. So obviously we know from his tenure at Limerick FC that there was a lot of talent there, and he's obviously got a brother who's doing very well in England at the moment. But the talk is that he has a lot of talent, very tigerish, very good in the tackle, and for a small man, good in the air. And he'll pop up with a goal or two as well, Adrian, from set pieces, because he'll have the intelligence to know when to make his runs and time his runs. But ideally, Adrian, what you want out of your back four, you want clean sheets. And these two boys are certainly helping the team to achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you said that he might pop up with a goal or two, because obviously he's not very tall in stature, Aidan, like you said. But one thing I've learned over the years, probably from being a gangly, lanky, tall man myself, where everyone expects you to be dangerous in the box and you're not. But one thing I noticed is that, you don't have to be a tall man to score plenty of headers and be dangerous in the box. Like you said, come down to things like, just determination and timing of runs, because we've seen it so much in the past. Guys that are expected to score a lot from corners don't, and the guys who aren't tend to do that because of their determination to win the ball in the opposition penalty box. Yeah,
for sure. And I've only seen Tomas O'Connor playing once this season. That was against Kuna in the league, and he scored off a set piece earlier on in the match. Fantastic timing from the edge of the box, got in his header, buried it. And listen, he's well schooled. He was at Limerick FC, so he would have been well schooled and all that. I think he's a great signing for Ballynanty. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, you've got at 12 o'clock tomorrow on the FAI YouTube channel, you have the draw for the quarterfinal and the semi-finals of the FAI Junior Cup. I suppose one thing I noticed actually about it, Aidan, is that you don't have two teams from any one league in the last eight. You've got Newmarket from Clare, Killarney from Kerry, Gorey from Wexford, Colga from Galway, obviously our own Ballynanty Rovers from the Limerick District League. And you also have St. Michael's from Tipperary, obviously, will be, and Buncrana, who won against Salt Hill over the weekend in a big win for them. There is a bit of a national feel to it, for the want of a better word, because in the past, obviously, you might have had maybe 3 Limerick teams or a couple of Dublin teams, and that was one striking thing.
Yeah, and it's like you say, it's well spread out over the country, and there's a couple of draws there now, Adrian, that I don't think you'd fancy, isn't there? A couple of away draws going to be tough. That Gorey away draw now would be a daunting task, and certainly away to Buncrana outside of the travelling would be a daunting task. One small snippet about Buncrana for you, a former Jamesborough player playing very well for them up there, Ryan O'Doherty, who won league and cup medals with us at Jamesborough, is up there teaching. He's from there and has been playing very well for him, and we have been in touch with him. They've been doing very well. They signed a few players, ex Finn Harps players. They'll be a hard task up there, Adrian, if anybody gets them away from home.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to ask you, Aidan. I suppose if there was one team out of that draw you want to avoid, either home or away, who would it be?
Oh, tricky one. I think actually Buncrana. I think even if they come down away from home, they've been good form this year. They won the Ulster Junior Cup last year, Adrian. So they've a decent side. I've texted Ryan O'Doherty once or twice, and they look as if they're in good fettle. They have a strong squad. Brought in that little bit of experience from the outside. Certainly wouldn't fancy them away from home, but I think even if they have to travel away from home, they will be a handful. There's no doubt about that,
And would it be fair to say, from looking on paper, and this is totally based on paper because I obviously haven't seen this side play, that the Galway Premier Division outfit, Colga FC, might be one that Ballynanty would fancy, particularly at home, considering I know they have lost 6 league games and they're bang in the middle of the table in Galway. If I knew anyone in Galway, I'd imagine I'd be getting texts, but I don't, thankfully. But that's one that stood out for me that maybe they'd fancy.
Yeah, it's possibly a game that you'd look at. Maybe the winners of Crumlin or Shangan Celtic or Shangan, is it Shangan Celtic or Sandy Hills? Yeah, we're still in it. You might maybe look at that one as well. Don't know a lot about Colgate, Adrian, but like it's a bit like that old county team, isn't it? It's kind of fairy tales stuff for them with the victories they've had down in North End and the victory they had on Sunday. Absolutely amazing stuff. They seem to have come out of nowhere. So we'll certainly have to do a bit of research on them to see what they're like.
Yeah, absolutely. And we go from a good news story to a bad news story, obviously, Aidan, and the fact that we were hoping there'd be 2 Limerick Junior sides in the last 8 draw. We now know that that won't be the case. Gorey Rangers come back from 1-0 down against Fairview. Fairview had a great start, Aidan. 1-0 up, Jason Cross scoring at the back post. Then they went on to concede 2 goals. Game went extra time. The second goal was a real calamity of errors, to be honest with you, from the footage I've seen from Fairview. A kind of a hopeful lofted ball into the box, and carnage was caused by Steve Maloney, who did score the first goal as well. And we did pick that out, that Gorey would be dangerous. And he was the centre back who also scored against Somerville, actually, in earlier rounds. So, you'd have to say, it goes without saying that Fairview would be bitterly disappointed, but particularly with taking the lead and how the game went.
Yeah, one of the favourites. It's a big shock, Adrian. At the end of the day, you can't sugarcoat it. This is a big shock. Fairview were favourites for this competition. But Gorey have been steady all along, going well in their league. We have spoken about them before the Somerville game in depth. We spoke about the fact that they would be good at set pieces. A few players that have been making the Wexford roster team. We spoke about Killian Cush. We spoke about Paul Brennan. We spoke about Steve Maloney, I think, the centre half, and the other centre half. Really good players, steady players. Good team, well organised, very fit. Can mix both sides of the game. So huge disappointment for Fairview. I've been praising Fairview for most of the season. I've watched them several times this year. Very disappointed with that result. I thought they'd get over the line myself, but at the end of the day, you've three excellent forwards there, and they haven't scored goals, Adrian. You've Rainsford, you've Ara, and you've Coughlin, and there's been no production there on Sunday. They haven't scored. Simple as that. And
I suppose that would disappoint Paul Danaher the most, Aidan, because I suppose when you do go ahead like they did 1-0, you are then expecting those players to get a bit of space with Gorey having to come out and score. And obviously that didn't work out that way.
Yeah, but by all accounts, the reports we're hearing back, the Fairview didn't play well. It's just spread throughout the team that they didn't perform and they didn't play well. And maybe opportunities weren't made for those front three. But having said that, it's a big game and you need your big game players to step up, Adrian. Who's the man that's going to step up in the team to get you that goal? Very, very disappointing. And I was looking at the team, Adrian, and if you look at it, two big influences missing. Stephen Bradley missing, and obviously from the start of the season, AJ O'Connor. Yeah. 2 big men out of that team, big influences on the team, big characters, big game players. So listen, overall, it's really disappointing not to see Fairview going through. But you got to give the opposition loads of credit. Showed loads of character coming from a goal down, Adrian, and then to take the game into extra time and win it in extra time. You got to give them loads of credit to Gorey on a brilliant victory, albeit very disappointing for us here in Limerick.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing Fairview will have to, focus on now will be retaining the Munster Junior Cup, which we'll now go on to speak about. Saturday night, you have 2 Limerick District League sides are playing against each other out in Charleville. You have Charleville hosting Ballynanty Rovers. Charleville probably gone into the game with a bit of confidence now, Aidan. They got a big win in what people are describing as 6-pointers. Big win against Mungret, 2-0 with the winger Paddy Murphy scoring 2 goals for Adam Castle's side to get them that victory. It goes without saying that it's a different animal on Saturday night when they host Ballynanty. Yeah,
I mean, they're going to be meeting formidable opposition, but you got to give Adam Castle a lot of credit, Adrian. They've been steady enough with their results. They certainly surprised me in the last round. I thought 2 Mile Boris had catched them, but they went out there and won and merited the victory. League form has been very good. What a victory the weekend. Beating Mungret, obviously. Beat Crew Park before that in the league. Drew with Kuna. So their form has been okay. And not so sure if Paddy Murphy is available for that game, but what a signing for them. I've seen him playing for Pike earlier on the season. Only a young lad, 19 or 20, has a lot of talent. And after losing Keane McNamara, I think he's a good signing for Adam. But listen, the team they're playing, they're going to be cock-a-hoop going out there Saturday night after winning last weekend. You'd have Balla down as big favourites for this match. And Balla saw off a tricky tie in the last round, Adrian, didn't they? Beat Rakheel. So you'd have to have Balla big favourites for this game.
I could be
favourite.
grasping at straws here. Aidan, to be honest with you. But is there a sense, if you're looking at it from a positive side from Charleville, that you might say to yourself, right, Ballynanty have obviously had a big weekend. You know, they were getting to the last day of the FAI. They're going to be obviously focused tomorrow morning on the FAI quarter-final draw and, you know, semi-final draw. Is there a party? Obviously, you'll be hoping this is the case, but is there a party of saying, you know, maybe Ballynanty might take one eye off the Munster Junior now that they're still in the FAI?
I don't believe so, and the reason I don't believe so is not with this management team. You know, I think David Dunphy and Ray McMahon will keep these boys. I think they'll keep their feet in the ground. So they'll be looking to go and win every single game they play. It's as simple as that. And you're coming into a vital part of the season now. And after that win last Sunday, they'll be looking at this as a very, very winnable match, Adrian. Let's face it. You know, again, you can't sugarcoat this. Bally would have looked at this draw. There'll be heavy favourites going into the game. It's certainly a match they'll feel that they can win. They're not travelling far. It's only out the road. It's on an all-weather pitch, obviously. I think it'll suit some of their players. I think that the players like James Fitzgerald, it'll suit them. So they're going into the game heavy favourites. Adam, no doubt, will come up with some sort of plan for the game, but I'd expect Bally to get through it. You would expect Bally to get through it.
And there's a packed fixture list on the Sunday as well, with 3 fixtures taking place at 2 o'clock involving Limerick District League sides. Fairview Rangers are on their travels again to the southeast, and they definitely wouldn't have wanted that the week after losing to Gorey. They have to play Waterford Crystal, who are third in the league in Waterford, and are fairly free scoring despite losing 3 games, it's fair to say. Said, you know, if there's one fixture you didn't want after losing the FAI, it's something like this, isn't it?
Yeah, another tricky game, isn't it? Real tricky game. They beat Killarney Celtic, I think, Killarney Celtic in the last round, 1-0 away, Adrian.
Yeah.
League form has been decent. I think they've won 3 out of the last 4. I think Tramore beat them. They were at home to Tramore last 3-2, but they've been going well. They beat Ballinroad the weekend 4-2. So they've been going well. They'll be looking forward to this now as well. It'll be a big tie for them. Big match in the Munster Junior Cup. So Paul Danner has to lift the team once again. But, you know, it's a game that the Fairview will have to get up for. It's as simple as that. They beat Village comfortably in the last round. They obviously beat Pike, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat Pike as well.
In this competition. So you don't want to ruin those results. You want to go out now and get back on track again, and hopefully get through the tie. Could be a tough tie for them. But if there ever is a game where they need to show character, this is the one, Adrian. They need to go down now and get a result here, get back on track, and hopefully get into the next round.
Yeah, and then you have Nina travelling to Avondale. We're finally discussing Nina playing someone other than Pike this week, which is great to see, I suppose, and refreshing for all parties, I'd imagine, including Nina. But I know we're slagging about Nina playing Pike, and obviously they lost 3-0 last week. You know, it was tighter in the Lawson Cup game. But I suppose you couldn't think of 2 better fixtures in one way then, to prepare you for this tie as well.
Yeah, and I spoke to people who were at the match on Sunday between Nina and Pike, and by all accounts that scoreline is a little bit false, you know, a little bit disingenuous to Nina. By all accounts, before Pike scored, Nina had several chances here to take the lead. And this is where maybe experience comes into it, Adrian, when you're playing the likes of Pike. They just didn't take those chances, and obviously Pike went ahead, and typical Pike kept that clean sheet. But Nina going well in this competition as well, Adrian. I mean, they've had a tremendous... Didn't they beat Ashling in this? I think they beat Ashling in this, didn't they?
Yes, that's right, yeah. Yeah, no, I did it, yeah.
Was it 5-0?
That was the 5-0 game, I think, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and they've beaten Dunmanway, played some fantastic football in that match. They'll be going down into this game, and they'll be looking forward to it. I think they'll get through it. Avondale were a really good team up to a few years ago, and the last couple of years seem to have slackened off a bit, even though they're mid-table in the league and have a number of games in hand. But I expect Nina to come through the game. Hopefully Killian will have the lads ready for this, and they'll have the homework done, and they'll go out and play the football they can play and get through the tie. It'd be great to see them get through the tie.
And I think it's fair to say that the last fixture in the Munster Junior that's involving Limerick side that we're going to discuss, which is Regional United hosting Villa FC, it's fair to say Regional got the short end of the stick, I suppose, in some ways with this tie, because not only are Villa, I think it's 8 wins from 9 with a draw as well. They're unbeaten in their own league. They've only conceded 6 goals. As well as that, Aidan, because they were knocked out, as we mentioned, by Ferrybank so early in the FAI, we knew that they were going to be putting all their eggs into this basket in the Munster Junior. So that really makes it all the more difficult for regional this weekend.
Absolutely, Adrian, and they got revenge for that defeat actually a couple of weeks ago. They beat Ferrybank in the league away from home 1-0. I think they drew in the league the weekend, but it was a kind of a local derby against Waterford Hibs. They drew 1-1. They've had great news again this week. That two players, Adrian, in the international training squad up in Dublin. I believe Adam Conway and John Tannum were called in, which is great news for them. So again, they'll be Cockahoo, beat Killarney Athletic in the last round, 3-0 at home. Really in good form, really good side, Adrian. They're a good side. They can mix the game. A lot of pace in the team. Physically strong, and a good average age in the side, around 23 or 24. They'll be a handful for regional. I saw regional against Newmarket, as you know, Adrian, and I was very disappointed. You know, didn't.
What do you feel needs to be changed, Aidan, really, for them against Villa?
Well, I think Ewan O'Brien should be starting from the start. That's the first thing I do, because you mentioned him, you flagged him in the last episode before that game, Adrian. And when he came on against Newmarket, I thought he changed the game for regional a bit and brought him back into it in terms of keeping possession. They played him in the 6th, and they moved Kieran O'Connell into higher up the pitch in behind Owen Duff. And I thought it made an awful difference to the team. He's a really good player, keeps the ball, looks to pass it, looks to try and dictate the tempo of the match. So I'd like to see him start. Whether he does or not is another thing. But I think it would help them in terms of how they approach this match, because Villa will look to keep the ball and move at that pace, which is what they're good at. And they have a lot of pace in their team. Really tough game for regional, Adrian. They'll be hard pressed to get a result out of this. They really will. And Sean will have his work out to get the team up for it, given what happened against Newmarket.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be very interesting to see how the Limerick sides get on in the Munster Junior Cup. We obviously hope that we know that all of them can't get through, considering Charleville are playing Ballynanty, but we hope that 4 anyway will be in the next round, but that remains to be seen. And there's also 3 important games in the Premier Division in the preview as well. In the top 6 section of it, you've Pike Rovers taking on Ashling in Crossagala. Pike Rovers 4 points clear of Fairview, and with Fairview and Ballynanty having their eyes off the ball as such in the league for the last few weeks, and this weekend again, this is a real opportunity for Pike to extend their lead further and I suppose put pressure on the chasing pack when they do come back from FAI and Munster Junior ventures.
Yeah, fascinating game, Adrian. I was actually thinking about the game today, and Pike are going to be in the situation where if they win, they go on to 35 points and spread an awful gap between themselves and Fairview and Ballynanty, even though they'll have games in hand. But the old adage, games in hand are not points. And if Pike win, they have the points in the bag. On the other hand, then, if you're John Lysett, the Ashing manager, you're looking at that table and you're saying, do you know what? If we get to 3 points, we go on to 25 points, and all of a sudden we're touching the top. We're touching the top 2 or 3.
That was going to be my next point, Aidan, because if you think about it, since they've come back, Ashling and Coddy, there was a lot made of obviously the amount of players they've lost. Chris Smith has emigrated, John Mulready, etc. In fairness, it's too early to say, but Joel Costrain has been doing quite well for them. You still have Tony Whitehead. Liam Quinn came back, and I do know that John Lysett feels that Adam Foley, he actually made Adam Foley captain, and he feels like he's a different player almost since he's improved twofold since. So I suppose it's a bit of a better feeling around Ashling and Coddy as well, and of course getting to the TUI Cup final.
Yeah, and I watched them, as I said to you, Adrian, against Fairview before Christmas. I thought Adam Foley was fantastic. I watched him before that, and he wasn't the same player at all. He wasn't playing with the same confidence or the same power. Thought he was excellent on the night. I think Joel Costrain has been a fantastic signing once he stays injury free, and that'd be the key for Ashling there. And they had a lot of power and pace that evening, Adrian, and they've been playing reasonably well since. Dug out a result against Sunday. Tricky tie away from home against Star Rovers. Dug out the result. Won it with the set piece, obviously, with Tony Whitehead. And I'm a great fan of Liam Quinn. I think it's great to see him back. Popped up with a goal for him. Very important player for John going forward. Be nice to see him get a result, Adrian, so that they keep their interest in the league. And do a bit of damage to the top 2 or 3. But I'm going to flag it again. Pike don't concede goals. Pike will, even if they're not playing well, Pike will dig in and draw out the result, get a result. Don't think they played Steve McGann on Sunday again. Adrian left 1 or 2 out.
Yeah.
So I think he was on the bench. I think Kevin Barry was on the bench. Maybe 1 or 2
Lipper
more.
was on the bench as well. He was on the bench.
Lipper on the bench, yeah. So listen, going really well, digging out the results, and the league is the big one for them, Adrian, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they'll be putting the eggs into this basket and making sure that they can get the 3 points. An intriguing match, though.
It certainly is an intriguing game, because I suppose if you look at it from Annacolly's point of view, you said you were at that game before Christmas where they beat Fairview at home, which, you know, was quite a flagship victory in terms of to give them confidence to compete with the 3 teams ahead of them. But, you know, winning away in Pike would be sensational to give a relatively young group, since all the experienced departures, belief, as you were saying earlier.
Yeah, but they'll have no fear now going up there, Adrian. I mean, he has transformed the squad. They won't even think about it. They'll be going up there looking to get a result. There's a lot of youngsters in that team now. A couple of lads brought up from their second team, the B team, who look like they'll turn into premier players. And you still have that little bit of experience there with Tony Whitehead, Joel Costrain. They'll give Pike a game, as I said, an intriguing game. If I was putting my hat in it, you'd have to feel that Pike will get over the line again.
Just screaming a 1-0 victory for Pike, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're looking at Pike with, as you said before, you know, it's the 2 goals conceded in the league. It's incredible in 12 games, and I think they've scored the bones of 28, 30 goals. So you'd have to feel that Pike will scrape over the line here, and I don't mean that in the dodgy sense, that they'll manage the game and get over it and get the 3 points. Maybe John Loyce will have something else to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I didn't mean that in a disrespectful way, Annacolly, but Pike just have the ability to murder you 1-0, and that seems to be the case, as they say, for throughout the season so far. We turn our attention now, Aidan, to the bottom 6, which I suppose is equally intriguing, obviously for different reasons. I suppose one thing I will say in jest is that Mungret and Janesborough will both be delighted at the other loss last weekend, because that was I suppose a poor weekend for both of those. Obviously Janesborough losing at home to Coona, that puts Coona top of the bottom section. Charleville, as we mentioned earlier, beating Mungret in that, but here you have Coona at home, back in their own pitch as well, away from St. Essens after the work that was being done in the drainage, etc. That was confirmed by Ian Connolly to me today. So they're back in their own pitch hosting Mungret. I know that Richie Burke, you know, bemoaned the loss of a player like Cian McNicholas for him last weekend. I'm not sure what the injury situation is like for this weekend, but he'd be a big player for Mungret. But as Richie said to me, this isn't a 6-pointer at all for Mungret, and this is a 9-pointer.
Yeah, brilliant phrase, typical Richie. But I watched the Coona Borough game Sunday morning, Adrian. You know, 2 teams that really battled hard throughout the 90 minutes. No quality in the game, though. Distinct lack of quality. Wasn't helped by the pitch. I didn't think the pitch was in great nick. The grass looked a bit high and it looked a bit bumpy. I don't think it suited Janesborough, given the way Shane Hanlon has the team set up to play. Thought Coona were actually excellent defensively, and I've been, I suppose, critical of them defensively, but I thought they were excellent. You know, I thought the back 4 of Ian Considine, Luke Doherty at full back, the 2 centre halves, Andrew Layden, and the excellent Niall Errol's, really outstanding again on Sunday. Bit like the Josh Adams thing. No messing. When he has to clear it long, clears it long, wins all his tackles and headers.
I get the impression Niall Errol's and Josh Adams would be your centre-back team of the year at the moment.
Oh, I thought he was fantastic. Real leader on the pitch. Very good in both boxes. And for most of the match, didn't give Janesborough a sniff. I mean, the Janesborough goal was a fantastic goal by Carol Turner, but he had to hit it from 20 yards into the roof of the net. There wasn't a whole lot the centre halves could do about it. Joy Sheehan sitting in front of them. The minute there was a bit of trouble, sat in deep, made it a 5. Minute they went ahead, made it a 5. Very well organised. Got to give Coona a lot of credit. Adrian really worked hard. They're working hard off the pitch. There's no doubt about it. Well set up, well organised. And that's the second time they've beaten Janesborough up in Pearse Stadium, Adrian. So it's no fluke. And albeit they got a penalty to equalise, very soft. Joey Sheehan got a header from a corner to get the lead goal. Decent set piece, but poor marking by Janesborough. So Coon are looking good, and there's no doubt the way they're set up, there'll be no problems there. They're on 20 points now, Adrian, isn't that right?
20 points, yeah.
Yeah, along with Charleville. So the way they're going to be okay. They're going to be a handful for Munster on Sunday. They really are. You've Jer Miles up top, chasing everything down, working his socks off. As I said, all the team working hard. No stars in it as such. Real team effort. Very impressed with them Sunday. Got to give him a lot of credit. I'm fearing for James for a bit. Shane has a lot of work. Shanahan has a lot of work to do there. Started with a 3-5-2. Fairness team changed the formation and they dominated the second half in terms of possession, but didn't create enough. Badly needs someone up front that's going to get him a few goals. Didn't threaten enough some set pieces. He's a lot of work to do there. They'll have it all to do against Carew. Be a big match for them Sunday, Adrian. Carew didn't play last weekend, obviously. And
obviously lost in the TUI Cup as well, heavily enough. And we had the Geraldines 2-0 down before the game was abandoned, obviously. So it hasn't been a really good spell for them. Yeah,
we've been flagging, and I'd certainly be saying I'd be worrying for Carew the way they're going at the moment. Don't look at a team that's fit. The squad looks paper thin. Good chance for Janesborough to get 3 points. So we'll see what happens there Sunday morning. They're big games now because Janesborough don't need to fall further behind, do they? Carew Park get that win on Sunday. They're up to 20 points as well. Cooney get a win. They're away on 23 points. Munster don't want to get isolated on 14 points.
It already looks like a straight shootout, doesn't it?
Richie needs to start getting 3 points, Adrian. He needs to harness that team and start getting wins, a couple of wins, because it'll tighten it all up and make it more competitive. But if Cooney win on Sunday, in the next few games, it could become uncompetitive.
Yeah, absolutely. On a final note, Aidan, which is unrelated to the games that are taking place the weekend, your colleague and the Limerick District League manager on the night last week, Keith Curley, is making waves on the Sporting Limerick website and social media, as it's fair to say. I mean, he got as many likes and views on our website as John Kiley of the Limerick hurling side, which is something special, I suppose, considering that never happens for the soccer on our website. But obviously, you know, in all seriousness, it was a great honour for Keith, obviously, along with Declan Considine and Dai O'Donoghue, to be recognised to lead the team on the night. Yeah,
well, as you know, I know Keith very well, and more so this year we spent a bit more time together because I'm doing a few sessions for the A team below, and obviously I was playing with the B team. But he's a great guy. They're a great football family. I spent some time with him Sunday, obviously, at the Art Lunker game, and Adrian, the slag was the paparazzi were following us all the way out to Capra 4. We were worried about all the cars that were flying past us and trying to slow us down. So it was great. It was a very good interview. I thought he spoke very well, and he's a very good football man. Has a very good brain for the game, and likes to play the game the right way. And as well, look, he's well got around the town, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously our thanks to Aidan this evening on what was another packed schedule, as they are now all weeks until the end of the season, should I say. So, you know, best of luck to all the teams in action in the Munster Junior Cup, the Limerick sides, and obviously plenty of action in the Premier locally as well. So plenty for us to sink our teeth into again this week. And we hope you can join us next week for what will be an equally busy and absorbing show. So